So good morning, everyone. Welcome. This time I'm doing it from Mshlanga. You can see the sea from here. It's amazing when you're at the sea, not 2 days does the sea look the same. The color doesn't look the same, the clouds aren't the same, the ambience is not the same, so it's like seeing a different picture every day. But yeah, let's just quickly do a check-in and we'll start with Barbara.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I've had a good week, I think, basically. Something that I have been thinking about a lot is how important it is to take pleasure in simple things.
Yes.
And so I've been doing simple things that don't cost money, like going for a walk and just being outside and you know the weather hasn't been great, but you still go for a walk unless it's absolutely buckling down. So yeah, and that's actually helped me stay sort of upbeat because, as you say, the weather can have rather a dampening effect on your mood. Yeah, so that's me. I've had a good week. I've worked on having a good week, but it's been a good week.
Good. Good for you. You got that right. Okay. Thanks, Mickey. Okay, Anita, will you check in for us?
Morning. Yes, I also find that the weather doesn't help my mood. I don't particularly like these gloomy and dark days. I love the sun. So I've also been having a bit of also sleepless nights, not sure why.
Okay.
But let's see. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mickey.
Hi, morning everyone. Yeah, agree with Barbara, like enjoying the little things. Like I'm having an apple now and it's just so crispy, you know, when it's just so good. It's so sweet and you're like, oh, thank you, Mother Nature. Yeah, but yeah, grateful to be here. Yeah, happy to be back this week.
Awesome. Welcome back. Yes. Yeah, again, from my side, also just been a quietish week, although I've had 2 clients from Cape Town. I have been wondering when I do my newsletters, I'm aware of the ones in Durban and in Joburg that's on there. And I asked Britta, when's the Cape Town clients group going to grow? So it was interesting that this week I had 2. So this week was a good week. I've had some good sessions, and I'm in Umhlanga. So, and this is Lulu. Lulu doesn't have an inside voice. So when she greets you, it's very loud and clear. Come, Lulu, say hello to the people.
It's so cute.
Come. Come here. Come here. Oh. Okay, everyone, this is Lulu.
Aww.
And Lulu is a healer cat. So if you hear, at least you know now how she looks like. She's been my sleeping partner for the past 2 nights. She gives the most amazing cuddles and loves. And yesterday I had Maria here for a session, and she sat on her lap all day long and gave us some healing because she loves giving loves and healings. So yeah, it's been good pet sitting, cat sitting. I've been missing my cats, and then I told Erika, and she said, oh, she's going away for this weekend and I can come and look after little Lulu, and she's just precious. Yeah.
She's precious.
She is. She's got the most beautiful blue eyes, deep blue eyes. She's awesome. Okay, so I connected with our group today, and the cards that I drew was the messages from the angels card deck. Because so one of the, as you can see on the book, it's been used a lot. It was my first deck that I bought. And then asked them what messages do they have for us today. So the first card that I drew was, and it is Cassandra. And her message is, you're at the end of a cycle in your life. Call upon the angels to comfort you and guide you to the next step. Happiness awaits you. So let's see what's the extended message of Cassandra. And this is more or less how I felt this week. And I think because as I sat here connecting and asked, it's like sometimes, so we've been aware of there will be tower moments, and there's shaking of old systems and shaking of the ground and crumbling of old structures and stuff, and new needs to build, and we need to stand our ground, we need to be grounded. But I realized that effect also shakes up fear within us again. And the fear programs tend to run, and the sadness and the other things. And it's just to, I'm going to say, go through the purging of it, feel it, because we are individually and collectively at end of cycles and various cycles. Some at very literal cycles with ending jobs, or just Vanessa moving countries and stuff. So, and that all brings up stuff. So it's just to process stuff. I had my landlord say something, and then I realized, I might not be able to stay there for long periods, and that shook me again. And it just brought up all the stuff that I've been through for the past year. So in any case, so I'll read you the message. It says, you may feel sad, as if your heart is breaking as a result of this ending. Allow yourself to cry and grieve. It's very important for us when we go through stuff and we feel those emotions again, to allow us to feel the emotions, not to I'm over it, or I've done this, or whatever. It's to feel it, to allow the feelings to be purged. When you are ready, you will be gently shown how this ending brings new blessings into your life. But for now, the sadness that you may feel will reveal new insights to you. It might inspire you to finish a project where you have been procrastinating, or take a better care of yourself, for example. It is important for you to express your feelings during this time of transition. Either keep a journal, and that's what I've been doing. I've been writing lots, journaling, and lots more insights came to me, lots of more realizations. And I've made peace with it, that it will still be a process, and have allowance and tolerance for it. Talk to a trusted friend, join a support group, or discuss everything with us angels. The more that you can do to release, the freer you will feel. Watch out for the self-destructive tendencies which can arise from misguided guilt. I will help you take excellent care of yourself during this transition if you will call upon me. Whenever you need a hug, just ask, and you will feel me envelop you with my wings. It's a beautiful message. Beautiful message. So the second card that I drew for us is Archangel Gabrielle. And Archangel Gabrielle's card says, you have an important life purpose involving communication and arts. Please don't allow insecurities to hold you back. I will help you. And I'm going to read you the extended message of that card. I'm with you as one of your guardian angels. You may wonder why an archangel is with you. I help many people simultaneously, and you are amongst them. I help those whose life purpose is in the art or communication. I will help you polish and trust in your natural talents. Then I will open doors for you to express those talents in ways that can help others. What I need from you in return is honesty and cooperation. Tell me about your fears, your hopes, your confusion, your insecurities, and your dreams. Ask me to help you, and then please walk through the doors of opportunity that are open for you. I am on your side completely. My function is to be your coach, and as such, I may prod you along. Please know that I am only pushing you because I know that you need a little boost from above. And it's in line with the energies of October of communication and clear communication, open communication, expressing your truth, standing in your truth. And to see where and how you can communicate, be it with whoever is guided in your space to do so, or yeah. Okay, and then the last card that I drew is Rochelle. And Rochelle's card says, as you honor and follow the guidance of your heart, prosperity is coming to you now. The extended message in the book is, you are fully supported by heaven, and we have heard your prayers for financial support. Be assured that we see money as a symbol of abundant supply that God provides to all his children. The earthly negativity surrounding money comes from human minds alone. In heaven, we see money as an energy of exchange. We know that you need material essentials. Like any loving parent, God wants his children to be comfortable, safe, and happy. That is one of the reasons why he sends your guardian angels. Your finances have been blocked in the past because of guilt and other negative beliefs and emotions. I have helped you heal and release as much of the negativity associated with money. Please know that I am here to help you so that you can help more people. The more that you allow me to give you, the more you will be able to give to others. In the near future, you will be able to manifest all of your needs. And in the meantime, allow me to help you through my heavenly contributions. So those are our 3 card messages today. Do they resonate with you? Are you taking them? What do they say to you? Do they apply?
Fiona, I just have a question, and I'm not too sure whether it's related to the cards. So when you've dealt with an emotion or a situation, why does it come back again, like what you've actually mentioned earlier with you? You've dealt with issues. So does it mean that there's more that's still coming up, or you haven't completely dealt with it? And how do you ensure that you have completely dealt with issues and it's done and dusted and you don't want to face it again?
When they don't come up anymore.
Yeah.
It's multi-layered. And remember, it's not just from this lifetime, it's past lifetime's issues as well. So it's like one of the things that I've gotten to be aware of in my soul reading was that from my first lifetime, I took things personally. And up to this lifetime I have, and it's to let that go. So we've built up a lot of negative karma and fear and a lot of things. So it's multi-layered. It's not that you cry once and then it's over. It's to keep on releasing. So say, for instance, the reservoir of tears that you need to cry is enough to fill a swimming pool. If you just cry a little puddle, all those emotions are still not out. It's difficult to release everything in one go. You can't. We don't have the capacity because we can. So sometimes we can only stagger release. We release now, then we release a little bit more, release a little bit more. There's lots of emotions that needs to deal with, and it's we in the society that we are, we have this belief system of quick fix, and there's instant gratification and instant food and instant this, and we think healing is instant. That's a false belief. That's a myth. You cannot heal. Yes, so there's spontaneous miracles and stuff that can happen, but with deep stuff, the stuff that you've been working through for lifetimes, it is just to allow those layers to come. When my ex passed away, and I had to heal that, the death of a spouse and the provider of the children and stuff, I realized that you cry and cry, and you talk about it, and you cry, and you're talking about cry. And when you can talk about it, then there's no more tears. You know, you've healed it. And sometimes it takes a couple of months. Sometimes it takes a couple of years. Sometimes it takes longer. Some of the stuff that we come to clear takes us lifetimes. So it's ignorant to think that we've done it once and now it should be done. If it comes up again, it's because there's something else. And each time I journal, more things come out. It's like yesterday I had a session with Maria and spoke for about 4 hours. But so much came out in her just expressing what was what she needed to express. Because we think we know what's all going on in our head, or we're just feeling the sadness, or we don't know where it's connected to, or whatever. But when we start opening up, it can flow out. And sometimes we are shocked at the words that we use. Then we realize, oh wow, that's to the levels that I've been feeling. And it's to allow the process. So in the past 2 years, or one thing that I've realized is I've treated myself emotionally as my parents have treated me when I was a child. There was no tolerance for emotion, so there wasn't any emotional support. So I thought, but it's like I've cried now for 6 months, or I cried for 1.5 years about this. It should be done now. And I didn't have the emotional tolerance for that. Now, so okay, I feel this, I acknowledge this, and I will release it and clear it, the next level of it. But I don't put, I should be over it now on myself, because I know it will be over when there's nothing. I can think about it, there's no emotion. I can talk about it, there's no emotion. I can dream about it, and there's nothing. Then you know it's done.
Can I just say something, Fiona?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I was just listening to what you were saying and thinking about, I was listening to the October, Lee Harris's October energy thing, and he was talking about wounds and how we have these wounds, and they are triggered by certain things. It's just a question of really identifying the wound. I mean, it might not be that somebody's treated you badly. It might be that you felt unworthy of being treated well, or something like that. And, you know, so you've really got to dig deep to identify that wound. Yes. And then be happy with it, live with it. Not be happy, but live with it, accept it, it's there, but don't allow it to affect your actions or your way of life, or in other words, don't get angry because of it, or sad because of it, that sort of thing. I was just thinking about that. And also on the angels, I listened to some really beautiful music last night to go to sleep. It was called Caressing Your Angel. I found it on YouTube. Beautiful. And I just drifted. I had the most amazing meditation, and I just drifted off, and I was sitting with the angels, and I was being loved by them, and I was loving them. It was just fantastic. So the angel card for me after last night totally resonated. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Me.
Yes, I've been, thanks for mentioning that, Barbara. It's one of the things that that I've been focusing in my sessions as well, especially with clients, was go back to the wounds. Because whatever issue shows up, it is related to the wounds. And it's to take accountability for it's our wounds. And it's just a perception. It's like the satsang of last week. It's just a perception of our truth, of what has happened. Is just a perception that we had then. And then we put emotions around that perception. And it's to revisit it and look at it from a different vantage point. And see it from a different vantage point. See how our behaviors change. I want to say to keep that false truth alive. Because sometimes we do certain things that actually makes people act a certain way, or so that we can say, see, it's still that, or see, you can't trust people, or see this. And it's not like that. It's to go back to self and say, okay, so my wounding is around trust. It's to revisit it and ask, so is that real? Can people not be trusted? Just as an example. And then say, no, or yes and no, but the opposite is also real. So I choose to change that belief system, because we make belief systems on the basis of a perception that we have through our childlike eyes. And we need to connect to our higher self and look at it from a higher vantage point through new eyes, so that we don't make the same judgments about that. So, okay. So I don't, okay, and it's also, our wounding, we make stories about it. And the story that you tell yourself, and it's to become aware of what story are you telling yourself. And subconsciously, and it keeps on playing out, and it's to change the story, change that. But we do it, okay, so to answer Anita as well, it's like we evolve gradually. We don't evolve in one meditation or one session or one this. It's in increments that we shift and change and fine tune, slip down, come up again, slip down, come up again. It's we have to go through everything. The curve is not like this, just up, and the way you go and then you stay there. We go through these life experiences, and when we are done with the learning, we get to leave here. We die and we transmute and we go into our next lifetime or other planes of existence. So we're not going to die soon. So preferably, there's still lots that needs to be experienced and go through and fine tune. But a lot has to do with releasing and clearing and judgments.
Okay, thank you.
We're still busy reading in The Great Human Potential, Walking in One's Own Light. And we're now on a new chapter. And I always just check in with Spirit to ask her which chapters are pertinent for them that they want me to share with. And those ones that's not for now, I just skip. So the one that I got a big yes from Spirit was letting go of major issues. And it's about persecution. And even in the Crown one, we had a parable about that. But now it comes up in this book as well. And when I said, okay, but we've dealt with this, like Anita said. Why should I read it again from another perspective or whatever? But I got yes. It's to understand our fear triggers, especially. So if you look at when things change, change in the environment, when we end cycles, ready to start a new cycle, just make sure we clear that. But sometimes our whole evolutionary process is guiding us towards standing in our truth, standing in our integrity, standing in our full soul power, and doing whatever we need to bring through in that energy, in who we are, fulfilling our soul purpose. And that takes a lot of guts. It takes a lot of clearing of the processes. So one of the sessions that I had this week was with an upcoming light worker, and he struggles with certain things, and I realized I think it reminded me of the personal journey that I had to walk and go through in becoming more self-assured, self-confident, building up my self-esteem, building up, releasing all the old programs, fear programs, stuff that happened in childhood. And I could hear certain things, and I thought, oh yes, I forgot that I went through all that. I forgot that I had to do all that. It is a journey. We're all on our own personal journey. But it is a refining journey. It's a fine-tuning journey. So that ultimately, if we just surrender, truly surrendered in the process, we can get there a lot quicker. But we're not always aware of what we're holding on to. And sometimes we are so accustomed to nursing old wounds, as Barbara was mentioning wounds. It's like, and we nurse our grievances, and we keep on being a certain way towards people because we find comfort in nursing our grievances. Don't know why, but and I had to actually, in my journaling, right there, stop nursing grievances, because sometimes when we don't talk to someone, or we don't acknowledge this, or we don't do that, it's like we hold on to the grievances to say, okay, I'm not talking to you because of this, and I'm going to hold on to this, and whatever. So it's to become aware of that little, in Afrikaans, there's the klein jakkeltjies. There's little things that come in, and we build up that energy, and we then start telling a story about that. And the key is to do emotional cleansing on a daily basis, process, and say, okay, how did I actually feel about this? And be truthful. You know what? I'm very resentful that they asked me to do this because I actually didn't want to do this, or I am. It's to own our feelings a lot more, a lot quicker, identify them, and then say, I choose to release the resentments, I choose to release the anger, I choose to release the irritation, I choose to release the scratchy feeling about this, I choose to release, and like Barbara said, go back to those little pleasures, those little joys in, okay, I might not have all what I want now, but I can go for a walk. I can appreciate the beautiful nature that God has given us. Like Mickey said, the delicious apples that I can sink my teeth into, the juiciness, get back to, yes, appreciating the little things.
So Fiona, the emotional releasing process would be journaling on a daily basis?
Yes.
One of them. Okay.
You should have 2 books for journaling. One that you want to release and you fold it up and burn it, and one a gratitude journal. Because Spirit sees what you hold on to. So in written form, you keep the feel-good emotions, and all the feel-bad emotions you transmute with fire and you burn it. Because when you write all your grievances down, and all the feel-bad feelings, and all the injustices in this world, Spirit will say, oh, you like that, you want more of that, we'll give you more of that. So you keep the feel-good stuff in written form, and the feel-bad stuff you burn.
Okay. Strange thing was, while you were talking, I'm like, before you mentioned emotional clearing and journaling, and I'm like, so how do you do this? Like, what's the process? And then you just outline the process, and I'm like, oh, someone's reading my mind.
Yeah, beautiful.
I don't actually, now and again, I write things down which resonate with me. I don't really keep a journal of my feelings because I don't want to focus too much on them. I want to, and I managed to actually, like we were saying last week, change the lens and see things differently. I've taught myself to do that now, so that when I'm feeling betrayed or rejected or any of those things that are obviously wounds, possibly even from previous lifetimes. Or sometimes it's just the way things look. Even the garden looks sad. And then you change it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Even something as beautiful as the garden can look sad in a certain light, and then you change it. Yes. So I managed to, but I mean, I know I've got the wounds. I live with them, and I just I don't do journaling. Maybe I should try. I don't know. Perhaps I should.
It's definitely worth trying, Barbara. Accolades to getting the perception and the lens right, changing it. That's very good, because I think it's Wayne Dwyer that says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at changes. And that is all about the changing the lens. Because, yes, when you look through a lens of sadness, even a beautiful garden can look sad, and everything looks sad, and everything just reminds you of sad, and it's sad everywhere. But when you look through the lens of love, you see love there, and the birds love one another there, and you see love, and the leaves are shaped in hearts, and everywhere you see love. So, and that changes our emotions. So through that, it changes the emotions, which is good. But it's to just check in on the emotions and release them as quickly as they can come up. Because it's like, if you, say for instance, an irritation comes up, it's just to check in what emotions is accumulating, because it's like dust. If you don't feather dust the house, suddenly for after months, you'll see a thick layer of dust and you'll see lots of cobwebs. But if you dust little, and then it takes a whole lot more effort to clean. But if you clean the house regularly, it's easy because it's just a little amount. We don't realize the accumulation of feel bad emotions within ourselves until it's all too late, and then we need a big stuff. It's just but for instance, what you've done last night was beautiful. Listening, sitting with the angels, being with them, because then you clear yourself. You back in that feel good emotions, and that is good. That's a good way to do it. So we all have different ways. It's to find what works for us, whatever it takes to get back to the feel good emotions.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. So the story starts with, This is a big issue for all of us, this letting go of the major issues of persecution. There have been many lifetimes where you faced persecution for being different, voicing your opinion, for your skin color, for all your beliefs, and for everything in between. Again, it comes down to judgment. Many of you have a tendency to shut down your center of speech because you're afraid of using your voice will cause you pain, possibly even leading to death, as it did in other lifetimes. For some, death was a welcome relief, as you felt so isolated that you cut yourself off from your heart center and from source. Many of you will also carry guilt, shame, pain, and persecution from your lifetimes in Atlantis. During that period, there was a great deal of judgment by the light against the dark, and the dark against the light. Many felt the burden of responsibilities that was not theirs to claim for the downfall of Atlantis. It was, in reality, collectively decided that Atlantis was not to survive. It would be a trial run for the process you are going through at this time on the planet. Humanity would be far greater served by allowing the civilization to fall and rebuild than by continuing. Atlantis was the last civilization in which you experienced a similar level of spirituality and technology on this planet. As we said, it was in essence a trial run for the time period, as souls knew you would come. You created scenarios that would be similar to those you would be experiencing now. It gave you the opportunity to practice integration. Remember, we mentioned earlier that you are moving through a band of photonic energy that supports you in accessing higher wisdom and knowledge. And Atlantis did not have the benefit of these energies such as you do now, which makes the process of integration a bit easier. In duality, as a result of the limited perceptions of separation, beings will try to destroy anything in opposition. There is the belief that in order to survive, anything that is different must be extinguished. It becomes light against dark, right against wrong, here and now, in the time and space. You are shifting this belief so that both can coexist. You are operating under the law of attraction and reflection. In order for you to share experience, you must be resonating at the same frequency. If you are holding on to viewpoints and holding your viewpoints and fear another will attack you for it, you are sure to draw it in the attack. But if you hold the understanding that what you pulse out, you get back, and you pulse out the belief that is safe for you and all others to express their beliefs, you will see in your reflected reality a safe environment for expression. And it's interesting, as I read this, I see how it's still playing out in today's day and age. meaning when certain people get totally offended by what is being said or their perception of what is being implied, where that is totally not the intent or an implication, but from their vantage point, taking it totally personally and making a big hoo-ha and want to annihilate the person losing their job, the company being burned down or attacked or whatever. So I can see how those things are still playing out, where people then fear saying something of what could happen because it could ruin your whole life if you were to say something that somebody can take another way. But ultimately, we should move beyond those fears. It's like feel the fear and do it anyway. We have to speak our truth and ride the wave of whatever comes up, but not necessarily fear it, because if you fear certain things, you are going to become a magnet of that. So it's to cleanse. So when you, it's like when I spoke to this upcoming light worker, he said, yeah, but how do I change my words so that the people, the church-going ones will not take offense or take what I say wrong or whatever? And I said, you have to know who you're speaking to. So if you want to, if you speak to spiritually, people that want to spiritually grow and develop, because that's your niche market, you don't have to worry about changing your words or treading on eggshells and just use certain phrases or certain words not to whatever. That the church-going ones won't listen to you. So you don't have to worry about that. It's like those ones that are seekers, those ones that want more knowledge, or those ones that are open, those ones that is hungry. You need to speak to them. Speak to them through your communications, through what you put out there, through that. Because we can't filter down not to offend, not to make somebody feel bad. Yeah, we always need to be able to freely express ourselves. All of the records of all your past, present, and future timelines are stored in your energetic field right now. You are holographic in nature, which means what happens in one aspect of you happens in other aspects of you. We talked about this earlier, but let's go a bit further. You are literally light that are being projected onto a medium. You call it the matrix or the web of life if you wish. This now moment is the point of projection on which you perceive yourself to currently physically exist. As you make changes in any one of your lifetimes, not only does it show up in your energetic field of that other lifetime, but it also shows up in your energetic field. And that's why I like doing past life regressions and stuff as well, because I know we have the ability to clear things backwards and forwards. Our future selves benefits by all that we get to clear in this lifetime. So that's why this lifetime is so important and so exciting and so valuable, because we get to clear these things. And one thing that I listened to this week again, it was just a reminder, whatever consciousness level we exit, next lifetime we enter at that consciousness level. So all the work that you do now matters. Becoming awake and aware matters, because it's an easier lifetime next time around, because you come with more wisdom, more understanding. You start at a higher level than in this lifetime. So the work that we put in, we will ultimately benefit from. So it's worthwhile.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. As you make a change in this now moment, the change registers in your energetic field, as well as the energetic fields of all your other lifetimes. This one method of healing that you employ allow for greater healing across timelines and lifetimes. So let us give you an example. Say you have a fear of abandonment that you played out in another lifetime, and you were unable to integrate it. It is the effort to try to resolve it again through a new lifetime, and in a new way, you recreate this issue for yourself in the now. That's why I say we first have to deal with the issues that's currently in our reality. Because when you clear it, you can clear it for past as well. So, because it makes you aware of stuff. So the now is the only place where it can be altered and where your focus is, where your physical body is. But not only have you created the issue of abandonment in the layer of your energetic field relating to this body and this existence, but you also carry the frequency of abandonment in your energetic layer of your field related to the past lives. As you activate the abandonment frequency in the now, it begins to vibrate anywhere that you are carrying that frequency in your field. This is the law of resonance in action. If you have a room full of tuning forks and you strike one that resonates at the note of A, all the other A tuning forks will also begin to vibrate, increasing the volume. The same thing occurs in your energy field. And Lulu agrees. Lulu? Yeah, okay. Often you will notice this is an extreme. This as an extreme in the emotional response that seems stronger than what you might logically expect. So do you get that? What does this say? What do you understand from what I read now? Can you guys?
Yeah, I understood it completely, actually. It was just what I wanted to say right from the beginning when we were talking about Atlantis and persecution. I just realized why I've always, my entire life, as far back as I can actually remember, tried to fit in. I've always been watching other people to see whether, what they're wearing, how their hair is, what they have, how they speak, and trying to be the same because, and so what has resulted is for a very long time, I was never really me. I was always a sort of carbon copy of everything and everyone else that I could see because I wanted to fit in. And now I realize the pointlessness of all of that because we're all the same, actually. Everybody's trying to fit in. And it all goes back probably to that sort of persecution phase where it was not advisable to speak up or be different in any way. Yeah. So that's what I got from it, loud and clear, certainly about myself. Thanks.
Cool. Okay. Anita, what did you get of this tuning fork example?
Sure. I'm just overwhelmed with all this information. I just feel, yeah, I think with what Barbara says, often I feel we don't live our life the way we need to live it. It's always an imprint of others.
Yeah.
And I think that's something I actually need to look at and change and be myself.
Mm.
Yeah. Thought provoking.
Mickey, what do you get from this tuning fork example?
Also the same with Barbara and Anita. Like my definition of success was always like, oh, you need to look a certain way, you need to make, a certain amount of money in order to be happy. But like, the journey that I'm going on right now is that, I want to be me. I've lost my identity through the process. So yeah.
Yeah. It's to be more true to yourself.
Yes, yeah.
And allowance for that, allowance for being different, for wanting different in your life compared to what others want for their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to read this paragraph again because I want you to get it. There's a next level that I want you to get. So they say, and remember, this is just an analogy. So I'll first say what I get from it. So it comes back to what Barbara said. It's owning your wounds, being aware that you do have wounds, and taking accountability and responsibility for them, and not overreact, but becoming aware that when they come up, we need to look at how we can change our perspective about it or heal it, the next level or layer of healing that we can. But sometimes you go through an experience and say somebody says something and you blow it way out of proportion and you cry for days because they said your hair looks different or this, and you totally take it personally and you are so offended by it, and you can be a little thing that is just so you surprise yourself by your reaction or the intensity of your reaction, and it sometimes might not make logical sense to you, but why? Like my journey through relationships, certain relationships I will cry a little bit about, others there will be mountains of tears and mountains of emotions, and the last one there was physically shaking with shock, physically for months shaking with shock, total shock. Okay, and this is what this says. It's because wherever other of you have gone through similar, it's linked to lots of wounds over lots of lifetimes. And I've had 28 lifetimes with this individual. So that's why it was amplified. It's like whatever I went through in this lifetime, it was times 28. And I had to process that and go through that. And to answer Anita again, it's like you can't do it in one day or one go or one cry. It's just too much to get out. So listen to this paragraph again and understand it, why sometimes you become aware of where you overreact, because it's not an overreaction. Somebody might say, oh, but why are you overreacting? It's because you felt this so many times, it's now in your field and you need to process it. But when you're able to, with the wisdom and understanding and healing that's available now, you clear it for all yous. And none of yous will carry that energy anymore. But it's not to suppress it, because our human behavior sometimes want to sweep things under the rug or hide it, or other people mustn't see that we are sad, or we're not affected by this, or we mustn't show our emotions because the mother said keep quiet, don't cry, or so we're not used to processing emotions, and this whole thing is judging ourselves for having the emotion, because some will say, no, good girls don't feel angry. So then you said just suppress angry, because if you church going, you're not supposed to be angry because angry is wrong. But you need to understand, okay, I feel angry. I own anger. It's okay for me to be angry now, and process that anger and release it. Because when you transmute it, when you integrate that lesson, you don't have to experience it again. But as soon as you judge yourself for having that emotion, that is when you lose the plot and then say, okay, by the rule, like by the rules that you judge others by or yourself by, you're going to be measured again, and you have to experience that again until you can have it without any judgment, until you can integrate it fully and understand it and say, okay, I now see the wisdom of those triggers. I now see the wisdom and the gift that is in this emotion, because I get to release it and clear it. So I'm going to read.
Sorry, Fiona. So I come back again to the same question. So what is the tool of processing or healing that we actually need to use? Because if you're constantly on a daily basis having these experiences, so how do you go about healing it? Do you come for a session to heal it? Can you heal on your own? How do you displace this feeling? Or your reaction to the experience?
You can, there's many tools that you can use, and there's many processing. So there's many tools and many things that you can do, but sometimes we struggle to get there on our own because we are entrapped by it, or it's like Maria saying yesterday, it's like for 2 months, she knew this was the problem, whatever this was, okay? And this is the problem, and best I walk away from the problem because I'm not liking this problem.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday in the session, by us talking it out and putting some light on that, the light turned the other way, and this was the problem. The beliefs in the system was the problem. And it was a rude awakening, because sometimes the problem isn't where we think the problem is. And while we think it's outside, we can't heal it. And if somebody isn't shining light on you for you to see your contribution in it, so what is the role that you play in it, then the healing can't take place. And it takes a very, I want to say, enlightened person that can, or not necessarily that, but you have to see it from all sides. So while you're just looking there, you will not be able to heal it. And that's why sessions can help you with that, because then you get to other aha moments which you wouldn't have with your same level of consciousness and awareness, because we sort of on a level, and when there's not more light shining on it, we can just still see our perception, and we believe it, and we feel justified by the summation that we made of it, and it's not always true, and it's not always real. So that's why we need others' help from time to time, or
Thank you.
people to connect to you.
Thank
Okay. So if you're in a room full of tuning forks and you strike one that resonates at the note A, all other A tuning forks will also begin to vibrate, increasing the volume. So when you go through an experience, an emotion gets triggered. All the times that you felt that emotion, it will become louder. And it's like it then rings in your ears. You are, I want to say, consumed by the emotion. The emotion is a lot louder than what just that triggered it. But that trigger wasn't just for what happened now. It was for all the times that you felt it and either suppressed it or not healed it or not integrated. So there's appropriateness in things becoming loud and irritating you to levels that is very uncomfortable. Or it gives you sleepless nights or anything like that, because it alerts you, hey, there's something here that you need to let go of. Did you want to say anything, Anita?
Yes, because that actually explains why sometimes it's the most minute or silliest or smallest of incident that triggers the biggest fight, and you kind of wonder, but it really doesn't make sense. But now with what you said, it actually makes a lot more sense as to why sometimes these things do happen. Thank you.
Welcome. Barbara.
Yeah, while you were talking, I just identified one of my wounds. I hate being ignored. So I do. And that brings, being ignored brings out all the other negative emotions of anger and resentment and self-pity, all those things that I feel throughout, I think all of us feels at certain times. Mine is due to being ignored. I've just realized. So loud and clear. I've been from never speaking my truth. So you do get ignored. If nobody ever hears you, you get ignored.
Yes.
So, yeah. Thanks.
And it's also something that you said earlier today is you've been ignoring being yourself. So there's been ignoring self. So self needs, self beliefs, ignoring all that is authentically you by thinking this is bad, I need to be a carbon copy of something else. So when something irritates us in others, most of the times it's within us, because it takes one to know one. You've had to experience that to know and recognize it in another. And it's to see what is being mirrored. And the things that irritate you the most is probably what you've done as well. And you are irritated by yourself for having done so. So it's to love self again, accept, ask yourself for forgiveness and forgive yourself for having behaved that way, for having ignored who you are, your authentic self, your beautiful self, and also then see, because when we heal that ignoring energy, it won't show up anywhere else anymore. So it's like the tuning fork. It won't bring up all those. So it's to heal those layers of being ignored and ignoring. So the same things occurs in your energetic field. Often you will notice that an extreme in an emotional response that seems stronger than what you might logically expect. So I just thought I need to explain that paragraph a little bit more, because there's a wealth of information in that for understanding our responses, because sometimes we don't understand ourselves. We don't understand, but why do I feel so greatly about this, so intensely about this? And this is the reason. Okay. So we would like to help you integrate other aspects of yourself and see you let go of judgments that you are holding on to from other lifetimes, specifically around persecution and self-expression. And it's interesting that with the cards, the one card that we drew was Archangel Gabrielle and was about self-expression, communication. And we're in the month of October, which is the month of communication. So there's so many synchronicities. I can now understand why Spirit asked me to read this chapter. Okay. This we will do energetically, as those parts of you still feel isolated from source. So when we cut ourselves off from being our authentic self, so then we feel disconnected. And most of the times when we feel disconnected, it's because we disconnected. We either feared and we blocked somewhere, and as soon as you block anywhere in your body, you create the bottleneck effect and the energy can't flow through. And then you feel disconnected. And you just want to be connected again, but it's to be that clear channel. It's to have allowance for everything. Allow it to flow. Allow communication to flow, self-expression to flow, your truth to flow, regardless of the consequences. And that's why that the one card, standing your ground, standing in your truth, integrity, with your head held high. It's very important for us to do things like from that vantage point, from that being, totally being okay with who you are and the decisions that you make for your life, that which brings you joy, you happiness. So what I've been doing is having a look in my environment, in my life. What scratches, what irritates, what does that? And I try to clear that and eliminate that as much as I can. Address it. Because sometimes we turn a blind eye and it scratches us, and we turn a blind eye. I've got this irritation, yeah, but I'm not going to address it now because I can't do anything about it. It's to look at it, see what this irritation is trying to teach you, tell you, so that you can clear it, so that it can be a smoother journey. Not ignore this that scratches. As you move into the heart center, you're able to see that you co-create the scenarios of abandoned with another. And that is the key. When you can take ownership, accountability for actually being a co-creator of the not so nice feelings that you get to experience. Because we do. Say, for instance, you have a wound. You do stuff automatically so that this wound can play out. So you attract those to come and show you there's a wound, because we don't see our own stuff. We usually have to have others in our environment to come and trigger us or to show us, hey, there's something here. So it's to see that, but not blame them for the wound. They're just there to alert you that there's a wound. When you heal that wound, you don't have to attract these other players that can also tell you, hey, you've got a wound. See it, heal it, clear it, understand it, integrate it, be with it, let it go. But what we sometimes want to do is just let it go. I mean, I let it go in that session. If it was there to teach you something, you still didn't get to the lesson and the high understanding of that, it's not going to be clear. Because there's a deeper level of, you need to actually get to see the gift, your responsibility in that, and then the gift that has brought you, and then liberate it. It's like the phoenix rising from the ashes. Sometimes it burns and then you just see black. And you think, okay, but I see black and it's burned and now it should be gone. There's still something that can be liberated from that. And then you set yourself free from that energy, from that wound. But you have to do it from the heart center. While we're still in the mind and justifying it and judging it, we are not healing it. We're not integrating it. It becomes.
Thanks, Fiona. It makes a lot of sense now. Thank you.
I think also with me, a lot of the time in meditation, it's, release, let go of anger, let go of all those feelings. But you cannot let go of them until you know, as you said now, what's actually causing them. You actually can't release any of it. Yeah.
That's why I do the consultations before healing sessions, because we have to get to understand certain things before the healing can take place. Certain realizations needs to kick in for deeper healing to happen. I find that it can be alchemically shifted so much with first just communicating about it, because we realize a lot more. Yeah. Okay. So it becomes clear to you that you ask another to don the role of abandoning you so that you could know what that experience was like. You can't play a victim without someone volunteering to play the role of the persecutor. When you realize you create the situation, you're able to release the judgments and blame. You say, I created that. I was the one who wanted to experience that. So there's no reason to be angry with this person. It's like when there's unforgiveness and you realize your responsibility in that, it ends up with the energy that there's nothing to forgive because there was no blame, there was no wrongdoing. And to get to that realization and epiphany and whatever, you free yourself from that. Because while you still see it as, no, it's bad, they did, they're the persecutor, you must persecute the persecutor. They need to be acknowledge their wrongdoing or whatever, then you're still missing the boat. Then you still won't get to the deeper healing. There is no hurt. They supported me in getting what I wanted. You wanted to remember that you have this wound or that you're holding on to this. So it was to alert you of the energy that you carry in your energetic field. The energy of abandonment, or the energy of being ignored, or the energy of whatever it is. So they've just come to alert you. And while we still blame them for, and we think, no, but they hurt us, then you can't heal. Because when it's with others, so you can't heal. You can only heal when you acknowledge it within self. So, okay, this is mine, I own it. Okay. So they just came to show me that I've got this. Okay, so I've taken responsibility back. And that's why it's also one of the things of the source of all that is that I have on YouTube. It's to realize, okay, so I've been the source of creating this. I'm the source that can heal this. Because when you do that, you can transmute it. The new perspective releases your charge to abandonment, which becomes integrated in your field. So you see, a reaction is created when you have charged situations, and integration is created when there is a change in the perception about the situation. And that's where Barbara's beautiful change the lens comes in. Because when you have that ability, when you practice that, you change it. Because then you don't see yourself as a victim anymore. Then you don't see a reason or why to blame them anymore. So that emotions dissipates within you. You exist in dualistic universe. You have light, dark, positive, negative, male and female. You cannot have one without the other. As you co-create, you do so with self, another consciousness and source. One positive, one negative, and one neutral. There is the true meaning of the Holy Trinity. Take deep breaths. We know that it's a lot to handle for some of you. It's like reading that It brings a sense of hope, and the change can happen in whatever we've struggled to handle or cope with in our current realities, the changes that comes in or the triggers that gets done by unsettling energies. It's to see it. Oh, okay, now I see the logic or the reason for it, because we don't always understand. But why is this now in my space, or why am I feeling this way now? It's always a higher understanding. It's always for our highest good. We don't perceive it in that moment in time. There's very little appreciation for it, but there is a reason.